In this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful frame and card using the brand new Frame It dies from the John Next Door collection. The Frame It dies are a new idea that we've come up with development of over 2 years to making frames for card, either beautiful, simple, clean frames like this, or detailed, delicate frames like this one. So easy. Predominantly for this card, we're going to use the JND437 folk art frame. And the idea of the frame is you have a single piece that cuts in one piece to give you a beautiful frame with everything is completely right. And the frame is exactly an inch all the way around. So no matter which orientation you put it in, it is an inch frame constantly. But with the addition of these beautiful detailed panels, you can make detailed cards and detailed cuts into there. You can also use those separately for backgrounds or for strips or for anything. This is one of the most comprehensive sets that I've ever designed. And for this card, I'm going to use the second die within the Frame It collection. And this is the 436 Delicate frame. Now this frame again has the beautiful piece which cuts you just the simple frame, but this gives you a frame that is 1.5 inches, because this frame is 7.25 inches and the inside panel of this one is 4.75 inches, whereas the panel on the main one is 5 inches in the center and 7 inches on the outside. And what that means is that you can cut these to give you the perfect matte and layer. So this is the frame we get with the black, and you get the beautiful mitered corners, which really adds interest to your card. But it's so easy to place it on to give you the perfect frame. But again, beautiful insert dies that work together to give us those beautiful intricate frames should we want them, or stunning background pieces. And in this demonstration, we're going to be making this card, which just shows how to get that stunning frame. So I'm going to pop that to one side, and we're going to start with a piece of black card. So we choose whichever card we want to be the larger frame that will just show us out. And for this, we use the delicate frame die, which is JND436. And all you do is simply tape the die down to the card in a couple of places, nice and simple. And one thing I would recommend is to take the excess card off. So I'm cutting with a knife, you can use scissors, down that line there. But what you will find within this, I have made sure and designed these so that this card does not go to waste. This is exactly the size you need for any of the John Next Door flower plates. So keep these pieces of card, because these will make the perfect flowers again to match in or to use for other projects and things inside. So all we need to do is, I've put that down now to a piece of black, and we'll run that through our die cutting machine. And while that's going through, I will show you the white piece. And you will need an A4 machine for these, as these are the larger dies within the set. So these are the larger frames, and there are more Frame It dies coming. They've been spread through the collections through the whole of 2024, so that you will constantly get a different frame shape or size depending on the die that you wish to purchase, again with all the details in there. And we're doing exactly the same for the white. So this is using the JND437 folk art frame. And again, we simply put that down. And the benefit of this is, as you can see, this is bowed slightly because of the actual way that machines operate, but it will not lose its strength. It will not lose its size or anything. You can just flatten it down. And again, don't waste your card by running it through the machine. Simply cut off the waste piece, and again, that's perfect for your flowers or for your leaves. So if I pull in the black frame, and I'm going to run the white frame through as well so that you can see how beautifully these cut. So you can see here, we just simply pop the frame out, and it means in this one, you'll get a waste piece, which again, we don't want. We're wasting very little. You get the beautiful frame, and this is 1.5 inch frame. So perfect to fit on any 8-inch cards or to overhang 7-inch cards, and great for box frames. But you'll also get this square out of it in the middle. Again, with the white piece, we have a waist around the outside. we have the perfect frame, and we have the scrap piece. And that means that fits on exactly, absolutely perfectly, regardless of which orientation we use. So you don't have to mark which is the top, which is the bottom. It will fit absolutely perfectly in all 4 dimensions. But you also have the benefit of a perfect 5-inch square, and you have a mat for it at 4 3/4. So your waste pieces from the center are ready for your smaller cards. And each of the dies have been designed so that there are panels in there, so that if you like the small and sweet cards, these will work perfectly. So you're not wasting any of that space in the center. So to put these together, you can just flat glue them, or you can add foam tape on. And this is the other benefit of using the frames. And I'm going to add the foam tape onto this so that you can see. So we just have to put the foam tape in the center. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to go to one edge or another edge, because they've been sized perfectly. And it does mean when you're putting this down, it's a lot easier to glue down than when you've cut using 4 separate dies. So the only other way to do this is to use 4 separate square nesting dies, which would all need to be exactly mathematically correct to work. But you would also need to use the template sheets. So you would actually be using 4 dies and 2 template sheets to achieve this. Whereas as you can see here, because it's perfectly sized, you just drop it on. It's as simple as that, and it gives us the perfect frame all the way around. And of course, to repeat these frames and cut lots of them, just keep adding the single dies onto your card and running them through and cutting them. And that's what makes this so special. So we now have our frame finished. And if I bring in an 8x8 card blank, you can already see it's perfectly sized to fit that. So it fits absolutely perfectly. But now what we want to do is we want to put a center in, and we're going to add some of the brand new Scarlett flowers onto this. So there's your simple frame making. So to make the next stage in this, I've thought about the sizing, and obviously we don't want to waste card. So my favorite thing to do is to use card cut to 5 3/4 inches. So I'm just going to cut a piece of coconut white to 5 3/4 inches. And the reason for this is you will get 2 squares at 5 3/4 inches from one A4 sheet, which means that the center panel takes 2. But as you can see, that fits exactly and still gives room for foam tape should you want to mount it all the way around, meaning that you're not wasting large A4 sheets of card to make these bigger cards. It's been really thought through. So I can see there's a little mark, so I'm just going to use my glue eraser, take any marks off. So now we want to put a center panel in this, so I'm going to go back to our folk art frame, and I'm simply going to take 2 of the separate strip dies. Obviously there are 4 of these. Now you will notice that the pattern or the piece of metal has an end point that goes to a point. This allows you to put these together to cut a frame just into a piece of card should you want to. So you can make a beautiful drop-in frame. But they've also been designed so that it's very hard to tell that there is this point on there, so they will give you straight strips. So I'm going to line my piece of card up with my desk and with my pieces of marked card there, and I'm simply going to use one of the lines on the desk or on the self-healing cutting mat and tape my die down. I'm going to take my second die and just line that up against it, so I'm butting them together, making sure it's even, and we're simply going to tape that down, so get it in an even place, butt it up, tape that down and make sure it's taped in a good couple of places, and you'll simply run that through your die cutting machine. And once you've done that, you'll get a panel like this. And all I've done is put a piece of red card exactly the same size, actually slightly smaller, behind that. But you can see there, you've got the flowers going in the same direction. You can rotate them if you want it going in the opposite direction. So should you want the flowers to go in opposites, you would simply place them together like this. And again, match them exactly right. And that will give them going in the opposite direction. But for this, I wanted them in the same direction. So we've got a beautiful background piece already done. So all we need to do now is to take our frame. And again, I'm going to add some foam tape. But this time, I want to put it on this edge. So I want to put it on this sort of leading edge on the inside, so that it picks up this panel of 5 3/4 inches absolutely perfectly. I hate waste, so we'll just make sure that we use the extra little scrappy pieces. And again, all you need to do is reveal your tape, just like this. And again, frame the piece that you've made. So this is perfect for using for backgrounds or anything like that. And I'm actually using the pattern, matching up the leaves top and bottom to give me that beautiful colour and that beautiful look. And it's one of those cards or projects that people will wonder, how have you actually done it? How have you made it so neat? So I'm just going to add some wet glue onto the back, because this allows me to make sure everything's placed correctly. And I'm using the Craft Artist Super Tacky Glue. And onto my 8x8 card blank. And the glue allows me to just move it round and make sure I'm happy that it's straight. So there we have our perfectly framed 8x8 card. So now I'm going to add some flowers onto this, and I've chosen Christmas red. So I've decided on a piece of Christmas red card, and for this I'm going to use the brand new Scarlett flower from the John Next Door collection, which is JND441. And this again is one of our flower plates. So this will fit on a scrap of card from the side, or a piece that's been cut to 5 3/4 by 4 1/8. This is a slightly bigger piece. We will run that through and cut it. And I'm going to bring these in. I've already got these cut. And we'll get those beautiful shapes. So, to make the flower up, very simple. I want this to look like a poppy. So I'm using VersaFine in Onyx Black and one of the Crafts 2 finger daubers. So I'm just going to open the ink, take one of my petals, take some ink onto the finger dauber, and just in the air, flick the edge of the petal. It seems strange to add black, but black onto red just darkens the edge and gives you a far more 3D look. So it looks as if it's going into a darker red. So that's one. I'll do the second one the same. So holding it in the air. And the reason we hold it in the air is if we do it down flat, we'll get too much ink on and we'll get black sort of blobs. So we take those, there we go, ink those 3 petals. And to keep that colour going, I take a scrap of card and take a little bit of the black ink and just scribble in the middle. And you'll see there, that gives me a 2-tone look. So we go from the red, sort of goes to a darker red, almost like a cherry red. And again, you can see the difference here between the two. Add the little bit of black ink into the centre. And then to put this flower together, it couldn't be easier. A little bit of glue glaze just in the centre. We rotate the second flower by 180 degrees. And we add that into the centre. And we're just lightly going to fold each petal up. There are cut lines on here, which make the folding really simple. With your fingers, you don't need any tools or anything. And I'm just going to add a black Craft Artist stick-on pearl into the centre of that flower to give us that beautiful black centre. And that then gives us our flowers. And from one cut of the machine, you will get 6 flowers. So you'll get a large, a medium, a sort of small, a smaller, a tiny, and a tiny. They are quite large, actually. We also want to do some of the Dianthus leaves, and for this I'm going to use the scrap piece of card that's left over from the side of cutting the frames. So for this I'm going to use JND440, which is the Dianthus leaves, and these have been designed so that they have a stamping section or an embossing section on there. So I'll pull the die in. As you can see, they've got a whole raised area and then a depressed area where the line is. So to get the colour of these, I'm going to turn the card over onto the back, and I'm just simply going to place the leaves down, all in the same sort of location, just like that. I'm then going to take my VersaFine in Onyx Black, and I'm going to ink the dies. Not too heavy, but I'm just inking the dies like I would a stamp. You don't have to make them completely black. Nice and simple like that. I'm then simply going to slide the card out, turn it over, and pop each leaf down, simply taping each leaf down as I put them in place. And don't worry about missing any ink off. This is supposed to look distressed. This is the whole idea of this. So we're just gently turning each of those leaves over. Just like that, and we'll tape them down and we'll cut them. And I'm taping these quite well because I don't want them to move as they've got ink on them. And it's simply a case of then popping them onto your die plate, which I've done just here, and I'm running this off camera through my Kaleido machine. But these will fit through any die cutting machine, even the smaller machines, like the Baby Blue or the Spellbinders Prism, or the Crafts 2 mini machine. So once we've run those through, you can see when we pop each one out, we get that beautiful impression, and we get the clean, clear line running through the center, and they've also been debossed as well. So this is a wonderful way to give you a completely different look to your leaves. Again, imagine doing these with green ink to add a little bit of green in. There's so many different ways you can use these. It's crazy. And again, if you use them onto glitter card, which there is a video in this current series showing you how to do that, you get a beautiful impressed look on that. So I'm going to move those to one side because I've got all my flowers and leaves already done just here. So we're simply going to put our card together. And to do that, all I'm going to do is take my leaves and gently fold them along that line. So I'm taking the large one first, and again I'm using the Craft Artist Super Tacky Glue, and just give that a little press down, and I'm creating a little triangle area. Just like that. I'm going to take a further leaf and again just fold that and mold it. I'll move this up a little bit, sorry. So again, your Super Tacky Glue, so that we've created our little, let's just pop a little bit more glue towards where that end is. There we go, perfect. So we've created our little triangle. I'm then simply going to add my flowers on, putting them together almost in bunches, as that's how flowers grow. So number 5, and we'll add number 6 down here at the bottom. I can then take the additional leaves and tuck them in where I think we need that little bit more. And again, let some come over the flowers. It's up to you how you arrange these, but I always tend to arrange my leaves, put 3 down and then put 3 in extra, just like that. And there we have a perfect framed card with a beautiful collection of flowers and this beautiful selection here. And to finish this off, I'm just going to use a few more of the black pearls, and I'm just going to stick one of the small black pearls in the center of each flower, That way I bring that background forward, just like this. So nice and simple. So we're bringing that foreground or background back into the foreground by adding the black in. And there we go. A beautiful card just made in simple black and red. Keeping all the colours going through. All the card is Craft Artist card using the brand new Frame It dies from the John Next Door collection.